We excited? All right, my name is Lauren Janitis, and I'm the Executive Director of Tropical Audubon Society, but also the co-chair of the Biscayne Bay Marine Health Coalition. And I'm honored to be joined today by my fellow co-chair, Dave Dobler, the OG Steering Committee member and founder of the nonprofit volunteercleanup.org. We are so happy to have you all here today and for your commitment to Biscayne Bay. Before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge that we gather on traditional and ancestral lands and waters of the Tequesta, Seminole, and Miccosukee peoples, who have stewarded the Biscayne Bay region and South Florida for generations. We honor their enduring relationship to these lands, waters, and recognize the continued presence, resilience, and contributions of Indigenous communities throughout our region today. It is especially meaningful to recognize this connection as we gather to discuss the future of Biscayne Bay and the shared responsibility we all have to protecting these waters for generations to come. So this year's summit theme, Charting a Path to Biscayne Bay Recovery, reflects both the urgency of these challenges facing our bay and the tremendous opportunity we have to work together to find solutions. Today is about bringing together science, policy, restoration, advocacy, innovation, and community leadership to move Biscayne Bay recovery forward. We also want to extend a sincere thank you to our amazing sponsors who made today possible. So I want to highlight our top-level sponsors. We have Ferguson Waterworks, Florida International University, Miami-Dade County, Cupid Splash, Sea and Shoreline, City of Miami Commissioner Damian Pardo, Lumency, County Commissioner Daniel Cohen-Higgins, and County Commissioner Raquel Regalado. And I also want to highlight our many exhibitors out in the hall and nonprofit partners throughout the day. I encourage you to go see the exhibitors. We have some amazing exhibitors who offer some of the solutions to our problems in the Bay. I also want to just highlight that the furniture today was brought by Dragonfly Boutique. They are a great organization where all the proceeds of the furniture they sell help support Ladies Empowerment and Action program. So if anyone wants some furniture, this is for sale. And it goes to a great cause, so thanks to them. Also, a reminder too, you all should have received a raffle ticket at check-in, and this is an amazing opportunity we have at happy hour. So make sure you hold on to that raffle ticket, and you're only going to be able to receive, if you win, you have to be at happy hour to win. So Paddle has donated an adventure pass valued at nearly $600, including daily paddle access and premium activities like mountain biking and sailing, windsurfing, and more. And we're also raffling off a stunning black and white metal print of 2 whale sharks from an underwater photographer, Erica Allen, and her beautiful work is out in the hall. So definitely take a look at that. So again, you must be present to win the raffle, okay? So happy hour starts at 5:45 and hold on to those tickets. All right, I'm gonna pass it off now to my co-chair, Dave Dobler.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming so early in the morning. I don't know who decided 8:15. So before we dive in, I want to share how we got here. 16 years ago, my partner Dara and I were kayaking these waters and couldn't stop picking up trash. One afternoon, she watched me paddle home with my kayak loaded down with styrofoam and garbage bags and said, "We either need a bigger boat or more friends to help us." That moment led to volunteercleanup.org, which led to the coalition, which led to this room. The Bay has a way of pulling us in. The idea for this summit started with a phone call from my good friend Luis Rodriguez, who told me, the Bay is dying and full of trash, and we have to do something. At that point, all I understood was plastic in the water. But Luis brought in Irela Bague, Albert Gomez, Emilio Lopez, Steve Sauls, Patrick Shear, and Tiffany Troxler, and we quickly realized that the problem was much bigger than just trash. So we held our first Marine Health Summit back in 2016 or 2017, and out of that came the county-led Biscayne Bay Task Force. So please join me in recognizing those who started this with us. Luis, Albert, Tiffany, Steve, Emilio, Patrick, Irela, please stand up and be recognized. We were later joined by Camila Quaresma-Sharp, Scott Stripling, Maria Del Mar Trejos, and Julia Wester, all of whom continue to serve as valued advisors to this day. The Biscayne Bay Task Force, chaired by Irela Bague, created momentum, a roadmap, and a demonstration that solving these challenges would require sustained collaboration and accountability. Those first 4 summits were built on that foundation, and today we carry it forward.
So this is our second summit together with our new steering committee members, and the work never felt more urgent or more focused. So I want to take a moment to thank our incredible steering committee members for all their hard work in bringing this summit together. This is volunteer work, and it's a lot of work, and they're incredible. So I would like our current steering committee members to stand. Please join me in a round of applause for Erin Cover, Melissa Hugh. Erin's over here. Melissa's probably at registration. Karen Baber-Futernick. Barbara Martinez-Guerrero. She's not here yet, but she'll be arriving soon. And we also have Hannah Sharapa over in the corner over here. Thank you, guys. And a very special thank you to our administrative coordinator, Danny Rodriguez, if you want to stand. All the behind-the-scenes work there. So over the course of today, we'll hear from experts and leaders working across disciplines and sectors to protect and restore Biscayne Bay, including conversations focused on science and monitoring, restoration efforts, policy, water quality, and the critical connection between the Everglades and Biscayne Bay. We will reflect on the progress that has been made, acknowledge the work still ahead, and strengthen the partnership necessary to move forward together. Because restoring the Bay is not the responsibility of any one organization, any one individual, or any one agency. It is a shared responsibility. And together, we have the opportunity to chart a path forward. Recovery and resilience is possible for generations to come. Thank you.
And with that, we would like to introduce our first panel of the day, the Biscayne Bay Task Force 10-year update, moderated by our very own OG steering committee member and now advisory member, Irela Bague.
I love this podium. You can see me. Good morning, everyone. It's really, truly an honor to bring back the task force reunited, and it feels so good. If you all can start taking your seats up here while I introduce us, which really most of you don't need an introduction. Steve Sauls, Jim Murley, our past Chief Resilience Officer of Miami-Dade County, Dr. Lynette Cardoch, Dr. Tiffany Troxler, and there are a few more that couldn't make it this morning, but the core group is here. I think we have a quorum, not sure. So as you all know, nearly a decade ago, we were all working hard, crafting all these recommendations, and they were really based on reports that had already been done, recommendations that had already been made. We kind of just like dusted off all these reports and threw them together. What made our work a little different was, and you all remember, was the 2020 fish kill. And so that kind of gave a spotlight. It was an unfortunate, tragic incident on our beautiful bay, but it just gave it that spotlight we needed and the urgency we needed at all levels of government. And with that, it truly, truly took over. And I was also fortunate enough to serve as your first Chief Bay Officer, along with my partner over here, Anna Fiote, who together, along with the Office of Resilience and DERM and many other departments within the county, including the County Commission, helped us move a lot of those actions forward. And today, I am proud to say that we are here to not only celebrate that progress, but also to remind us all that the work is never done. The Bay, we already saw the latest report card. It's still in trouble. It's still not well. And so we need to keep that spotlight on the Bay. It's worth $64 billion in economic output. That's significant. It's probably one of the most valuable estuaries in the state of Florida. And we need to keep that front and center, because when we advocate for funding, that's what they listen to. So with that, I'm gonna come over and join my friends. Okay, guys. All right, so I'm gonna start with my colleague all the way over there, Jim. And this question is for all of you, really. So let's start with looking back at the work we were doing back then, not even knowing, because we finished our work in June 2020, not even knowing what was coming, but we kind of knew what was coming because we had the science there in our face. What's one of the most impactful or important, and I know they were all important recommendations, but one of the most significant recommendations that you feel we moved forward?
Thanks, Irela, and it's great to have such an audience like this that's continuing the interest that we had when you chaired our task. Say, we don't need to do another report. The report that we did and the work that has stemmed from that is still as current as any other issues would be needed. The attention needs to be on the actions necessary to implement the task force report. I think the part that I particularly appreciated the attention that we gave was on governance. And I think that's often overlooked when a group comes together for a certain amount of time to deliver the recommendations. And if you don't think about who's going to be responsible to try to oversee those recommendations, then often you don't make the progress you thought you were going to make. So the county commission moved forward with the recommendation on the Biscayne Bay Regional Watershed Management Task Force, the Biscayne Bay Chief Bay Officer. But there's more to be done around the governance issue. I think last year the county went through a lot of reorganization questions, and I think we're now back where a new reconstituted Department of Environmental Resource Management combined with resilience has the lead on many of these issues, and that's very good. So, Irela, I think we need to keep the governance structure active. They need to be interactive with the citizens, with the community, and with the elected officials. And if it's not working, we need to be ready to make some changes. Thank you.
And I believe you're talking about the Biscayne Bay Watershed Management Advisory Board, which is that level of governance that we established to make sure that there was accountability moving all these recommendations forward. So as part of this coalition that you all are here, it's important that they hear from you all the time and that you continue to, move remind them that this work is never done. So Dr. Cardoch, any words?
Actually, Jim, that issue of the governance is fantastic for all of us in the room to think about, because we did move to have a chief bay officer. And I think that that's something that, well, Irela, thank you for being, the first inaugural one, but also just the fact that that position was put into place really honed in the importance of that. And right now what we're seeing is a reconstituted version of that. And I understand that we've got fiscal constraints, but I would urge everyone here to just continue to say that position is incredibly important and incredibly valuable in bringing dollars to the county, bringing attention to the issue, and continuing the conversation that happens when, let's not forget, we are the 305. We have a lot of power when it comes to the amount of tax dollars we bring, the amount of the voice that we have, and continuing to have that advocacy at the state and the federal level. I think that that's part of what the task force was really good at honing in, was bringing together what we already knew. It wasn't like, Steve's got report after report after report, and Jim's right, we don't need another report. We understand. Pick up your garbage, people, the nutrients. We know what the issues are, and being able to have a chief bay officer in that position that allowed for the governance of that to really hone in, and now have that watershed advisory board and some of the other pieces in place is continually pushed to action. Reports are important. I love the fact that we were a task force and we had to sunset. That was another really big deal. So we weren't around for like, okay, we have another meeting. No, we went in and we did the job we needed to do. And everybody in this room is doing the rest. Like, that's the part that's exciting about the task force was it really honed things in, but it was only a bit of a catalyst. That's it. It's the work continues, and a lot of it is, quite frankly, it's you guys, and it's really a thank you to all of you. So I'll stop there because you can see I get really passionate about this stuff.
Thanks. Yeah, so if I had to draw attention to one specific aspect of the report, it's just that we really honed in on watershed approach to Biscayne Bay health. You know, the alarm bells came with seagrass die-off and fish kills, things that were happening inside the bay, but that's really a symptom of a much larger problem, which is how we're managing our watershed, how we're managing pollutants that are getting into our watershed and getting into our bay and causing the impacts that we've seen. But, you know, in addition to that, it's really the comprehensive approach to watershed management and marine, Biscayne Bay marine health, which was also really important. And, you know, we've made really significant progress on every, you know, of those policy themes within the report. You know, septic to sewer conversion, I was looking at the county's restoration actions, you know, on the website, and $57 million has been spent already in terms of trying to advance the task force recommendations. That's great. The fact that we're all here still coming together as a community as part of, you know, what we were trying to put forward as education and outreach, continuing to advocate for marine health of Biscayne Bay. So, yeah, let's keep it up. There's still so much to do, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, as we continue the discussion. Thanks.
Take it away, Steve, with all your reports.
First of all, this is where I live, but this is the whole bay. It's a big bay. So how many of you saw the bay when you woke up this morning? Raise your hands. A lot of you. Do you know, you are lucky. You know that my first apartment, which I bought my first apartment, which I bought 25 years ago, prices were down. I bought it for $200,000, but I paid $100,000 to have the view of the bay. Today, that apartment is $3 million, and people are literally paying millions of dollars to have a view of the bay. It's the jewel in the crown that we take too often for granted. Now, when David was having his aha moment, I was a retiree, just fresh retiree, living up the street by Morningside, and I would kayak to those islands that Cristo made famous when he surrounded them. Well, I found a lot of trash. And then a Miami Herald article wrote an article about David Dobler picking up trash, so I went on a pickup day with him to see what that's about. And then I think my contribution was, fresh off of 20 years with FIU, I brought the university into the conversation, I brought science into the conversation, because we could plant seagrass all day long, but if we don't get the water quality right, it will die. So the first question was, let's figure out what is going on, and the county commission appointed this task force. Now, I'm carrying around a box of stuff that I want to put in somebody's good hands, and if you come up to me afterwards, I'll perhaps give you some of this stuff. But this happens to be my talking points for the 2020 summit. And I just want to quickly review some of the major accomplishments of our task force. Establishment of a Biscayne Bay Watershed Management Board, done. Appointment and funded a Chief Bay Officer, done. Development and implementation of the Biscayne Bay Watershed Restoration Plan. I think that's undergoing, but it's in the works. And a massive public outreach information campaign, and that's what you are part of. Now, I've already heard one important key word, And I want all of our speakers today to think about what they want us to think about when we're driving home tonight. Okay, I learned that when I was the legislative director for Bob Graham when he was his first year in the U.S. Senate. Driving home, what did I think about after hearing some of the top lobbyists in the country try to get me to think about their issues? I want to leave you two words: urgency, which you've already heard, and patience. The good news is it can be done. The challenging news, because patience is not my virtue, is we have to be patient. So, because some of it will take a long time. But that doesn't mean some of the things don't need help right now, because we don't want more fish kills. We don't want a smelly bay. And if you look around Edgewater, Brickell, all the way up, in my two-island neighborhood, they're going to build $5.5 billion worth of new development over the next 5 years. Well, we've always been short of money in the public arena, but are we thinking about how to tap some of that money and some of those people to get them engaged in an essential part of our community? And how do we reach out to that? I don't have that answer, but it's a massive answer of individual effort, strategic advice about how to do good in this community, communication. You can send, I used to have in charge of FIU media relations. That was part of my portfolio. And they said, well, we had an article in the Miami Herald. Yeah, how many people saw that? How many people never saw the Miami Herald? And we could have a posting in Facebook, but unless you're getting information where you live, these issues don't exist. So whether it's whatever platform is your favorite platform. So I just want to urge, I want to tell every one of you, you're all important to the strategy of success. We couldn't do this. It can't be done without. I'm just proud that we were able to get these things going and that the effort is ongoing and sustainable. And I want to congratulate the leaders of this summit and everybody for putting in so much hard work, and congratulate all of you for leaning in and being here today.
Thank you so much, Steve. Steve is such an inspiration, and I'm so glad he was my colleague on the board we're representing the public on the task force at the time. You brought something up that was critical to, and one of my most proud recommendations is updating the 2005 economic study for Biscayne Bay, which I had actually commissioned in 2005 when I was on the governing board, South Florida Water Management District, because nobody was advocating for the Bay at that time. Everything was all about Lake Okeechobee and the Everglades, and everybody was forgetting that we had another national park, Biscayne National Park, down there. So having said that, updating that report and seeing those numbers and incorporating what you just mentioned, property values along Biscayne Bay, really took us back. We knew it was going to be valuable, but we didn't realize how valuable. And that, my friends, is a huge tool to use for advocacy. And with that, I want to kind of open that up on the economic value of Biscayne Bay. And Jim, I know you still serve on the Miami River Commission, and that's another valuable asset for our community that feeds right into the Bay.
Absolutely right, Irela. Obviously, if you love something like most of us feel about the Bay, you want to enjoy it. You want to be in the Bay. You want to be recreated in the Bay. And that has huge economic pluses for a lot of small businesses and other activities. But I must say, if I look back on the issues that we didn't look at, that today is really challenging the Bay, and it's an economic issue, and that's a huge increase in the number of charters that are taking people who want to enjoy the Bay, often from another part of the country, out to the Bay, but often in unsafe conditions. And I think all of us have seen some of the more recent news about this. So I think the mayor has created a boat safety committee, which I believe is in the final part of finishing their report, so they'll have that to submit. But I would just say that that's an economic issue that we need to foster, but we need to foster it in a safe way to be sure that the captains and the boats that are used and the places where the people load are properly permitted. And then let people love the bay. Let them go out and recreate in the bay. Maybe there's even a way to generate some income from that. But I think that's something that wasn't on the radar. But today, for me, at the Miami River Commission, we deal with that all the time. If you go down to the river on a weekend, the bridges are opening almost all the time because it's just steady stream of charters leaving the river to go out into the bay. So that's a challenge that all of us need to be looking at, working with the appropriate agencies and making the bay a safe place to recreate for all of us. Thank you.
So, Lynette, I just want to talk about one section in the report that at the time seemed pretty aspirational, which was natural infrastructure. Go figure, right? And there was something in there that we wanted to it was pretty aspirational. We never thought it would end up becoming state legislation, but we're very proud of that, and recently just accomplished one of the biggest pieces when it comes to natural infrastructure to protect our coastlines. And Biscayne Bay was all over that. And give us a little snapshot.
Yeah, I have to say that is such an incredible accomplishment to where the task force started, to the advocacy in the room, and to be able to look at how do you start to look at nature-based solutions, nature-based features, whatever you want to call it, green, gray, all the different terms that are out there, but really bringing some sort of legitimacy to it at the state level. And so when we started in the task force and looking at these aspects of the economic influence that you start to see and dealing with protection, septic to sewer, all the things that have to happen on infrastructure, well, there's so many benefits that we all know about from these great natural systems that when we were doing the report back in, we started in 2019, we finished in 2020, it was COVID, it was, finished our meetings in Zoom meetings, it was crazy. And part of what we really wanted to hang on to was continuing to push that idea that, no, we're gonna continue to insert nature wherever it is that we can, wherever it is that makes sense. And, not knowing that 6 years later we would actually accomplish the legislation, but continuing to plant the seeds in all of our projects and all of the conversations and trying to really take what is the spirit of the regulations that are out there that at times may not have been as conducive to having nature-based features included in the bay, and having the conversation and pushing that as long as we're keeping with the spirit of the bay, which is the health of the bay, and also communicating to the legislature the economic benefit. And that's the part that I think that all of us, I would say, as we continue to move along in our advocacy is continue to stick, back to the patience part, stick to your guns on. We know that there's so many benefits that these natural ecosystems can provide. So let's continue to restore them. Let's continue to incorporate them, even if there's gray infrastructure associated with them. But come back with what are the dollars and cents? And when you run the economics on it, it makes sense. It makes so much sense. And so my ask to everyone here is, we all talk to ourselves. And we need to go to non-traditional audiences to continue to amplify the message, which is what we did after the task force was like, okay, well, we're going to go back and have the conversation with the Chamber. The Chamber of Commerce here, promoted and made it a platform to support Senate Bill 302. Took us a couple years to get it across the finish line. But it was really anchored on nature makes sense and the economics are there. So, yeah, Tiffany, you probably, you've been working in this nature-based environment for your whole career. So I'll pass it off to you on that.
Yeah, we keep talking about patience, and we do need patience when it comes to seeing, restoration of seagrass meadows as a result of improving water quality. But what I don't see happening as much is something that Steve touched on, which is how do we leverage all this capital that's coming into our community from projects that are being built because people want to live here. They want to open their businesses here because we have these assets like Biscayne Bay. How do we leverage that capital so that we can accelerate the projects that we know that we need to do? And I'm not an economic expert. I know we have, folks that specialize this in the private sector, but really, I mean, we have an opportunity right now, and the window's probably closing, and we've seen extraordinary development in our communities, and it is going to continue, but the window's probably closing. How do we capitalize on those resources that are coming into our environment so that we can better protect our environment, so we can better restore our environment, restore Biscayne Bay? Let's figure this out.
Well, I encourage everyone to show up at I think we have developers coming later this afternoon to chat about that. So maybe we want to ask them what their investments are going to be. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I have to give a lot of credit to a member of the legislature, State Senator Eliana Garcia, who's been one of the biggest champions for Biscayne Bay. Not only did she get Senate Bill 302 done, she got sponsor Representative Mooney to support her on the House side, and she was also the one who moved that beautiful Biscayne Bay license plate that most of us, I hope we have on our cars already, forward. So we have supporters across all the aisles, guys, and that's what we need to consider as well when we do our advocacy. Okay, when it comes to the Bay, there's no blue, there's no red. Okay, it's green. So let's keep it that way when we advocate. I'm gonna kick it back over to Steve because I know that we're kind of getting close to time, and I tell Steve all the time. Well, our crew back then, it was like we got to show up and never go away, right, Dave? And Steve, that's what we did, and we're still doing it. So that's my word of wisdom as far as advocacy. But Steve, I want you to kind of close us off because the work is never done.
The work is never done. On the blue and the red point, I want to say there have been polls done that this is one issue that enjoys wide bipartisan support. So don't shy from to educate people why the Bay is important. Don't assume that they know. Don't assume that they can speak alphabet soup. Help them understand what is happening, and we're going to learn a lot today. I want to shout out to Jim Murley. This is the report he did when he co-chaired back when Jeb Bush was governor that long ago. And I have two of these if somebody wants one. Our task force came about because the public got apathetic. The public, okay? There was no grassroots movement continuing to sustain the pressure. You are part of the grassroots movement that we really invented out of whole cloth, okay? And we came together and we began trying to build that. One of the questions I would ask when all the people would say great things they were doing, I would ask, that's wonderful, congratulations, I'm proud of you. Why is the Bay dying? You might keep that question in mind today. Why is the Bay still at risk? Okay, we're making progress. Millions of dollars are going that way. That was part of my agenda to try to institutionalize a response. Is it enough? Not yet. Not yet. And that priority, that pressure at the top to get things done will gradually, the way politics works, gradually diminish over time unless all of you stay very actively involved and expand the network. Think about how to make that even a more impactful group and how to use social media to get the word out over and over again to people so they know that there is a Biscayne Bay Coalition, There is a bay at risk. There are solutions under work, but we need to keep the pressure on. Congratulations to all of you for the good work you're doing. Keep it up, but let's band together. Keep in mind, we're trying to save the forest, not just the trees. We're trying to save the bay, the whole bay. Thank you very much.
And with that, I want to thank my wonderful colleagues, the Biscayne Bay Task Force, reunited, and it feels so good. Yes.